Welcome back, everyone. Today, we continue our journey through Annu Pandey's powerful second book, Keeping Faith Alive, as we explore Chapter 5, The Craving for Belonging. In this episode, we dive into one of the most fundamental human needs, the desire to belong. But what happens is when that need becomes so strong that it makes us vulnerable to manipulation or unhealthy environments. We'll be unpacking how emotional experiences like loneliness, rejection, and the search for identity can draw individuals into communities that may not always have their best interest at heart. We'll also explore how to recognize the difference between genuine connection and harmful dependency. This is a deeply insightful conversation about human behavior, vulnerability, and the search for connection. Let's begin.
Okay, yeah. So, right when we are born, we come in this world as a little vulnerable child, as an infant. Right from that moment, we humans and any other living beings we are totally dependent on others for our survival. We want to have relationship. We want to be loved. We want to be accepted, and we want to be also like want to belong to a group or community. That's why religions exist. That's why people are so passionate about the political parties they support. So humans are hardwired. They are biologically wired for social connection. You can do your spirituality all alone, but still we look for a community because it validates our identity. It reduces stress and gives a sense of safety. We know there are people who have our back, who we can turn to in the time of needs, in the time of crisis. So it gives you a constant sense of safety on the inside. And the need to belong, it often outweighs the logic or red flags also. Leading people to stay in relationship or communities, even if harmful, it's very um, obvious thing that happens in the cases of domestic abuse cases. Choices in relationship, as I said, are often unconsciously guided by the desire to be accepted and loved rather than purely by compatibility or values. So the desire to be accepted, the desire to be validated, to be in relationship, to belong to someone, it outweighs everything, sometimes even the safety. Social belonging impacts self esteem. Rejection or inclusion can trigger anxiety, depression, or desperate attempts to conform. And that's the reason human need for belonging is so powerful that sometimes we are so desperate to belong. So it influences our choices in relationships and communities because temporarily we shut down our rational brain and start to think from the emotional brain because the emotional desire to belong somewhere outweighs everything else.
True. All right. The question here from Jitin Rishika. Hi, Anu. The one place where we seek solace and comfort comes with fear. The threat is if we don't follow commands, then an ill omen is put upon. How does one adjust one's mindset from such behavior?
Something that exactly happens in abusive environments, abusive homes, and spiritually abusive communities as well. The one place where we seek solace and comfort comes with fear, happens in relationship with abusive parent, abusive leaders, and abusive partner. My emotional brain thinks that since this person is familiar, this relationship is familiar, if I am in a spiritual community, this person is highly praised and worshipped by everyone else. So this person is the right person and can provide me safety. But then there is also fear because a part of your brain, the rational brain, understands that this person, when you are around this person, you are also afraid of them
Mhm.
because you know that if I don't completely obey, they will punish me. And if the spiritual abuse is involved, you are also told that God will punish you, there will be divine retribution. So if someone is in this kind of scenario, they need to think critically. I'm afraid of this person and I find safety and solace and connection with this person. Basically make four columns, two for each of these things: your feelings of fear, your feelings of safety. Write down the facts that support it, and are against it, and for fear also the facts that support it and who which are against it. And when you are done listing all the facts that you can recall in your mind, then you read this list, and it can bring you a lot of clarity.
Awesome. What emotional vulnerabilities make individuals more likely to seek out or attach themselves to spiritual or close-knit communities?
The first is the obviously the need to belong, which is there in everyone. But then why some people are more vulnerable than other people, it's because of the trauma that they have.
Hmm,
When we are born, we are in the early years of our life, we are completely dependent on our primary caregivers, which are mostly the parents.
hmm,
And if we are not able to create a secure attachment with our parents, we go on finding that level of attachment everywhere else. And to be honest, we never get that, because the whole the empty space that was created by your parents because of their emotional absence or their emotional abuse, it cannot be filled by anyone. So if someone has experienced trauma, neglect, or abandonment, it increases their longing for safety and acceptance. If I know that I have parents back home who love me, accept me, and have all the desires to protect me, although they may not be able to protect me from everything because they are normal humans, not Superman, but they have the desires. I know I have someone who has got my back, who wants to, who accepts me the way I am, who loves me the way I am, and they want to protect me. That is enough for me. That will make me a secure person, and then I will not go around trying to find that security, that safety, that acceptance in every other relationship. Only on the other hand, children who do not get their whose needs do not get met in with their primary caregivers, they grow up and become insecure adults who keep on searching this thing in everywhere. And the perpetrator, people who have toxic trait, narcissistic tendencies, who are manipulative, they are very easily able to identify these people. They know that these people are easy target because they have low self-esteem, they have feeling of unworthiness, which makes for them external validation. They seek external validation everywhere, and anyone who gives them even a little bit of attention, they think that this person loves me. Since they never got attention from their parents, no love from their parents, no acceptance from their parents, so they do not know the difference between actual love and attention. And perpetrators find these people who are very easy to impress. Just give them a little bit attention, a little bit breadcrumbing, say some nice words, praise them a little bit, and then they are
hmm,
your servants. And once they are your servants, they get attached to you. They will not leave you easily, because even if you abuse them, even if you manipulate them, they will continue to, because these type of children, when raised in dysfunctional families, they develop a belief that if I try harder, maybe my parents will love me. And now they bring the same belief in the adult relationships.
hmm,
Maybe if I try harder, this person will love me. So these close knit communities or the cultic communities, even the healthy ones, or the cultic communities in the initial days of recruitment, they show a lot of love. They show a lot of acceptance, which we can call love bombing. In healthy communities, love stays, acceptance stays. But in cultic communities, it's only there in the initial phases to attract you, to trap you. And someone who comes from a family where they were deprived of everything, of um, love and acceptance and validation, and suddenly they come in touch with people who validate them, who appreciate them, show them love and acceptance, and promise them that we will take care of you and we will support you and we will be there for each other. So their vulnerability, the vulnerability is their desire to be accepted, their desire to be appreciated, to feel safe in a relationship, is what makes them vulnerable. And then there are some other people also who had a normal childhood, but in adulthood, due to some life transitions like divorce or death of partner, death of a parent or any loved one, or loneliness because of any reason, or social isolation for any external reasons, they also create openness to any community promising connection. Because I'm lonely, I'm sad, I'm depressed, and I want something that will make me feel better. So even if I didn't had any trauma, and if I am going through something temporarily, that also makes me vulnerable. And then early conditioning, as I said, that teaching that love and safety are conditional. If someone belonged to a dysfunctional family, not very dysfunctional, but dysfunctional to a level where they were taught that love and safety are conditional, and they will be given to you if you obey, and if you be a good child, be a good son, good daughter. So these type of people, so they also get driven, and because they want to be accepted. So if a community shows unconditional acceptance in the initial stages, they will find it very attractive. Oh, I had to earn those things in my childhood, but they are giving it for free. So it makes you vulnerable to. So there are different types of vulnerabilities that make you vulnerable to these communities, and also these communities have different features that make them attractive. So, and also in general, someone who is genuinely seeking spirituality, they have a desire for meaning, purpose, or guidance, or can make structural spiritual or tight knit groups is especially appealing. If someone who has everything fine going on in their life and they think that I'm doing good in all areas of my life, I also want to have a good spiritual life. And spiritual communities, whether they are healthy or unhealthy, they do provide a structured way of progressing. They provide education, books, classes, lectures, programs, trips, and all that. So it's seeing a structure. That's why we go to schools and colleges and don't study at home, because schools and colleges provide us a structure. It's like the difference between working from home and working in an office. Everything is structured. There is a time for lunch, and there is um, time for everything, weekly, monthly schedules for everything. So when you enter into a structure that is already made, it becomes easy to navigate. So that is also one of the things that makes people vulnerable to these close knit communities, whether they're healthy or unhealthy.
How can the pursuit of community sometimes lead people into environments that are controlling or unhealthy without them realizing it?
Yeah, I pretty much answered that, because I was also mentioning the
Oh, okay.
environment, the unhealthy environment. So I will tell you again that communities can leverage the human need for belonging to enforce conformity and obedience.
Okay.
This person needs to belong, and I will use that need to enforce conformity and obedience. If you conform and you obey, you will be accepted
Hmm.
and you can belong with us. The gradual introduction of the rules, rituals, or insider knowledge normalizes control without immediate awareness. As I said, in an initial stage, there is only love and acceptance and respect in both type of communities. But in abusive communities, once you become attached, emotionally attached, when you try to become totally committed, then gradually these things start to appear. Forced rituals, insider knowledge, we are better than everyone else, and now you are purer than your family, and now you should sever your ties or do not associate with them to keep your purity. So emotional dependency develops when members are praised for loyalty or punished for dissent. Now you have entered the system, you are already attached, now your behavior will be observed. If you Whenever you show your loyalty, it will be praised. If you show any dissent, you have any doubts, any question, you will be punished emotionally. So now you understand this is the dynamics. And if I have to feel safe, if I want to be praised and rewarded emotionally, I have to act like this, not like this. And also, there is isolation from external perspectives, or supportive relationship amplifies vulnerability. So you are not connected to anyone outsider, and inside the relationships become very intense very early. When love bombing is always used to create intense relationship very quickly, because see, when we connect to someone, make someone our friends or lover or whatever, The best way to identify if this relationship is going to work longer, if this relationship is safe or not, the biggest red flag is that fake relationships, toxic relationships, they start at a very high speed, and suddenly there is very high intensity in the initial stages. On the other hand, healthy relationship, they progress gradually. So isolation, and in these communities there is a lot of love, and suddenly you become attached because
Mm,
you saw that intensity and you were like uh, so impressed, and you stopped using your brain and you become a part of this. And then
mm.
you saw the dynamics of when you will be praised, when you will be punished, and also you're gradually isolated from the external perspective or the supportive relationship from your family, your friends who do not belong to this community. So this also amplifies your vulnerability because you do not have any external outsiders perspective. You cannot discuss your things outside. You are told now they are impure. If you try to discuss inside issues with them, they will brainwash you and you will become it will harm your spiritual life. So this, you have no outside. It's like living on an island where you have a different theory than rest of the world, and you are not connected to anyone, so you don't know what's actually going on in the whole world, and you're living in that story. It's like that movie, The Truman Show, Jim Carrey's movie, Truman Show. That was his world. He didn't know if anything else existed outside from that because he was totally cut off from that. He was manipulated, gaslighted into thinking that this is the reality. So manipulation often uses shame, fear, guilt under the guise of care, morality, or spiritual guidance. So these are the things that happen.
In what ways do feelings like loneliness, rejection, or lack of identity increase the risk of being drawn into toxic or manipulative groups?
Obviously, when you are lacking something in your life and you desperately want it, anyone or anything that offers it will look attractive to you. So, loneliness makes promises of connections and understanding irresistible. It's basic human need. Let's say if you lock me in a room and don't give me anything to eat for 10 days, and on 11th days you give me anything that's stale, or stale bread or banana peels or anything, I will eat that anyways because I'm so desperate to eat. The hunger is so much, I would take anything. Rejection reinforces the idea that only this group or person can accept you. So the rejection, when they reject you, you develop the idea that only this group or the person can accept you. Lack of clear personal identity, it increases susceptibility to adopting the group's identity or ideology. In toxic communities, the person's identity gets fused with the group's identity. You are always told, either directly or it is implied, that your identity does not matter as much as the group's identity or the group's image. So everyone gradually starts to think like a group. That's called as group think in psychology. Well, everyone in a group thinks same. Like everyone who hates Muslims would think in the same way. Anything that happens in which a Muslim is involved, whether that person is has committed the crime or not, suddenly everybody will be angry at them and will try to pin everything on them. Similarly, a group of Muslims who hate Hindus for no reason, they will all think alike, even if they have never met each other. You can see this scenario a lot on Facebook, where people unite, hatred unites them. Hatreds towards a particular political party or love towards a political leader or a spiritual leader also. Let's say I'm initiated by so and so guru. If I meet someone online who was also initiated by so and so guru, suddenly we have all the thoughts which are same about this guru. If somebody tries to say something to this guru, we will fight, we will together, we will gang up against this person and fight with them, and we think like a group. So in close cohesive groups, the group's identity is always favored over person's personal identity, so it leads to the gradual loss of personal identity. So it also, when you do not have any personality of your own, when you do not have any thoughts, any values, any beliefs of your own, then you will easily accept the group's ideology, group's identity. There are some people who already do not have a lot of their own philosophy of life, their own values and belief. These type of people, when they come to these type of groups, they are the fastest one to adopt to groups ideology. Yes, this is right, yes, that is wrong. They don't like to use, they already didn't like to use their brain. So if someone already lacks personal identity, it increases their susceptibility. Then emotional gaps that we already talked about, unmet need for love, validation, recognition, these are filled by intense group involvement. Let's say not even a parental love, if someone does not get does never had a good romantic relationship with anyone and was never validated enough by parents or by their partners, or they do not have any recognition in the society, these needs are also met easily in the community. If you're working hard, you will be praised, you will be loved, you will be accepted, and also you will be recognized. In spiritual communities, healthy ones, toxic one, everyone, whenever someone does a lot of efforts for the community, they are recognized so that they feel encouraged and they do more, not because they are actually being loved or actually being accepted. They may be actually loved, actually accepted by some, or maybe by not all of them, but recognition is done. So these things are very attractive. So the lack of identity, it also increases the risk, because you never had any identity of yourself and the group is giving you now, and everybody likes to have an identity, some recognition. People know me because I am leader, I'm holding so and so position, I have done this, I have achieved this. Everyone likes to hear these things about them. So vulnerabilities can be exploited by leaders who frame attachment to the group as the only path to safety, purpose, or love.
Awesome. Lastly, how can someone differentiate between a healthy, supportive community and one that is fulfilling a need for belonging in a harmful way?
Although whether a community is healthy or harmful, both of them fulfill the need for belonging. One does in a positive way that remains and helps you grow and become a better person and feel better about yourself. The other one does it in a harmful way. You feel that you belong to somewhere, but you do not.
Hmm.
You are being actually used and manipulated to fulfill someone else's needs, group's needs, um, a leader's personal goals. It's not that thing, what the belonging that you're getting in harmful communities, it's not for your best interest, it's not in your best interest. Healthy communities, the the biggest red flag of unhealthy communities is lack of boundaries, and they discourage you from thinking for yourself, and you are not allowed to question or dissent. In healthy communities, there are respectful boundaries. There is respect for individuals' boundaries. If I'm being told to do something and I feel that my family needs me at this time and I may not be available for that, I put my reason respectfully and they accept it, instead of make shaming me, guilt tripping me, and making me feel like I am lacking loyalty towards the group, I am lacking faith towards God or towards my teacher, and that's why I'm making excuse that my child needs me or my wife needs me or my husband needs me in this moment because they are sick and I need to be there. So, guilt tripping you when you try to have boundaries is the biggest red flag. In the healthy communities, these things don't happen. Although, as I said earlier, just like family dysfunction, community dysfunction is also a continuum, and some communities may be called as gray communities. But if your boundaries are respected to at least some level, we can say that this community is safe. I am allowed to say, to speak my point, to put my boundaries. Some might accept it, some might not accept it, but I am allowed to have them. If you're allowed to have your boundaries, your community is safe. If you're allowed to think critically, if someone says something and you do not instantly agree with them, and you have a different idea and you express that idea, you are not shamed, Oh, you have a different idea, which means that you are not aligned with us. You are not, you still lack faith. See, you've been associated since 5 years and you're still thinking in a different way. It means you lack association. Immediately, God is used to shame you. Immediately, religious teachings are used to shame you. Your critical thinking is, it shows that I am mentally healthy. It's a sign of mental health. Being able to think critically and allowing questions in all of the in India, if you attend a spiritual lecture, there is always a question answer round at the end. They all allow to question, but if you actually ask something that um, that hurts their ego, or you ask something that they are not able to answer, so there are two ways. They can either say, oh, right now I don't have an answer for this thing, I will study some more, I will discuss with seniors, and then I will tell you. So this is one way. It shows that community is healthy. On the other hand, if they shame you in the first place for having that question, oh, you still have these questions about God, about leader, about community, you are still not completely attached to us, you still lack faith in us, you need to practice more spirituality, you need to do more ritual, you need to be more serious so that you don't have these questions anymore. So harmful communities prioritize obedience, shame dissent, and isolate members from outside support. Healthy groups support growth and independence. Toxic groups foster dependency and fear. So observe emotional patterns. If there is consistent guilt in the follower, if there is anxiety, if there is self doubt, it may indicate that the follower is being manipulated inside their community. Check for transparency. If there are any hidden rules that are not said explicitly, but they are, and everyone is following them. If there is secretive leadership, if there is a pressure to prioritize group over self, this is the biggest red flag. If I have health issues, my family member has health issues, and I want to be there for them like normal human being, and I'm shamed for that, or someone who has responsibility at their home but leaving their sick wife at home, or they're leaving their sick child in hospital, they are coming and being there for group to show their loyalty, and they are being praised by everyone, that's the biggest red flag. They are praising and enabling a behavior that is not healthy for their own relationship, their own family lives. First you have to perform your duties and then be there for group, because your role in the group can be fulfilled by anyone in any moment, but your role that you have to play in your family, it can be fulfilled by only you. So healthy communities, they make you feel safe on the inside, they allow you to have questions, to think critically, they do not destroy your cognition, your ability to think, to question, to analyze things. They don't force you to blindly accept everything that is said to you. Do not think critically, do not question anything. And so what happens when, see, critical thinking, questioning, having doubts is a normal psychological process. It's not a sinful thing, it's a normal psychological process that every human being goes through. But if someone tries to suppress it, it will lead to anxiety, it will lead to depression, it will lead to unnecessary guilt, shame, chronic shame, blame, and guilt. And also, it can gradually, all of this together can gradually lead to depression. If someone is intelligent, someone is seeing something else, but they are being told something else, they are gaslighted into feeling that whatever you think, see, feel, understand, or remember is not true. Your reality does not exist, as if you are hallucinating. So all of that manipulation may lead to depression later on. So mental health, if someone is going through mental health issues, it's a big red flag. After associating with the community, if someone develops mental health conditions because of whatever happens inside, it's a biggest red flag. And while joining a community, one must always see how their boundaries are treated. If from the day one they don't respect your boundaries, it's the major red flag. And also, once you, this is the first thing to observe, and once you have spent some time, see if you're allowed to think critically and question. If you're shamed for having questions, for thinking differently or thinking critically, that's also a red flag. And it's not safe for your spiritual life, for your mental health, and for your family life as well.
Awesome. All I've got to say is that thanks so much for your time, Anu, and I'll check you again next
Thank you.
week.
Yeah. See you next week.